Hey everyone, episode 3. So I'm going to start pulling out parts of the power supply, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a different objective here visually over here. And there are 4 diodes, and I see if you can't, because it's going to be kind of hard to see, but that are sitting underneath the mains transformer. If you see that little black component there, there's 4 of them. Those are diodes, and those are part of they form a bridge rectifier for the mains power supply. Essentially, it's the power for the electrical power for the unit. Problem is that they're sitting directly underneath the mains transformer. And I'm not going to be able to get to those without pulling out the mains transformer. And to get to the mains transformer, I need to pull out these other components as well. There's a couple voltage regulators and a couple of capacitors, and that's right here. So put this down here a second, so maybe you could see this. So you have voltage regulators here, these 2. And a couple of capacitors. So we're going to go ahead and pull those up, and then that should give us access to the diodes and be able to pull those out. So, and essentially, let's spin this around. So you can see what's going on here. So these connections here are for the power regulators, and these 2 here are for the capacitors. So I'm going to go ahead and desolder those, and then I'll catch you in a minute. All right, here we go. So just going to situate this flashlight a little better so maybe you can see what I'm seeing. Hopefully you can see it. Soldering irons here. Get my solder plunger. Looks like it's 1. All right. Let's take a closer look here. Okay, that looks like they may be loose. So let me spin this around so maybe you can see what I'm seeing here. Put this down. Mounted here. Okay, that's 1. And this is 2. Those down. All right, and then we're going to do the capacitors, the 2 capacitors. So those connections are right here. here and here. Make sure it heats up really well. Get the other one. All right, put this down. So, have our two capacitors, we have our two voltage regulators, and now we should have straight access to the last nut that's holding the mains transformer. I don't know if you can see that in there. It's right up against the board here. So I've got my nut driver that sits in there. Now I can get this in here. I think. Might be a little trickier than I thought. No. Maybe. The nut driver is a little too thick. I'm going to go get a ratchet. Hold on a sec. All right. I was able to find a smaller nut driver that was close enough in size. And let me get my screwdriver here. It'll be fun putting it back in. All right, got that out. Got the nut there. Got it here. Good little nut driver. Okay. So now we've got the mains transformer out of the way. And now you should be able to see those four diodes that I was talking about right up here in this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and unsolder those. Cheaters. All right. Heat those up. A little tricky to get up in there because it's up in the chassis. So these diodes are part of the power supply, as I had mentioned before. It's important because there could be a problem with the power distribution onto the board, so it's important that we're replacing all these components. That's what Danny said, and Danny knows. He does this all the time, so I'm going on his word. The man knows what he's doing. So, okay. So, we've got those 4 loosened up. And let's see, let's spin this around. Hopefully you can see that. So that's right up here. It's going to be those 4 up here. So now it's really important that the diodes go back in the configuration. There is a polarity here. So you'll see there's a little silver line there. Okay, so it's going to be important that when you replace them in here, that they go back in the same orientation. Fortunately, Urei was really good, and they silk screened the polarity right into the main board. Let me give you a closer look here so you can see. So there's really no way of really messing it up unless you're not paying attention. But if you could see up in that corner, let me get a flashlight here. But you might be able to see it. You see how there's a little white line there where it's missing? So that's going to be the polarity, and that's going to be where the diode goes. All right. I'm going to pause this for a second and get this a little better situated. Okay, we're back. So we've got the mains transformer situated again, and we have the new voltage regulators and the capacitor, power supply capacitors back in. So that's right there. If you could see where my fingers are. Let's see. You can't really see there. So these are the voltage regulators, the 7819 and 79. And then 2 capacitors. And we've got the mains transformer back in. So I've soldered in the bridge rectifier, the diodes. So now we're just going to solder in the 2 capacitors and the voltage regulators, and that will do it for today, for episode 3. What I'm going to try to do is, for the next episode, is to have as much of this done and just kind of hit on things I haven't shown you. I went ahead and did other resistors and capacitors, since you had already seen that, so no reason for you guys to see that again, and just really quick, hitting these capacitors here. Hopefully you can see that. Got that there. And let's see. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. This brings me back to my days when I first started out working on electronics and even audio. This is a lot of fun for me, and not been able to do this kind of work in years. So it's refreshing, and it also made me think about what I had forgotten, all the information and things that I had forgotten, and just talking with Danny about doing this process and doing the rebuild refreshed my memory a lot, and just woke up something that really that I had forgotten, that how much I enjoyed doing it. So, okay. So we've soldered in the voltage regulators, the diodes for the bridge rectifier for the power supply, the mains power supply capacitors, and if you can see here, we've come quite along. Let me give you a side view. You can see all the connections here. So I've not cut the leads purposely so we could see that by the end of the rebuild, how many leads and how many components we've actually replaced. And we'll do them all at once. So I hope this is informative, or maybe even a little bit entertaining. Have a good yuck on me. But this has been a lot of fun. I'll see you episode 4. And episode 4, we're going to be replacing the tape output back here. And we're going to do the aux selectors. There's a couple capacitors on there. And we're also going to do the phono card. So we're going to rebuild the phono card as well. And maybe just kind of wrap this up. I'll see you in the next episode.